Hello and welcome back to Planet Stronghold Colonial Defence. What's the problem now? Nothing, just thinking you might give Alexander a chance. You don't have to take all the risks. Spare me your concern. I know you wanted to see Alex fight. Envision him as man candy on your own time. Looks like we have that matter taken care of. As it's sad when not being eaten is the highlight of one's day. Now comes the cleanup. That's what interns are for. Scene 19. The briefing room. Well done, Diana. Shame there isn't enough for a trophy. However, have you had a chance to assess the damage? Took out the science labs, but rather minimal otherwise. How long do you think it'll take to effect repairs, Mario? Looks like I'll have to change the signs once more. Days without an accident, 0. Fortunately, the utilities are mostly intact, and given the limits of the damage, I should have something up in 3, maybe 4 days. That quick? I know you're a marvel, but that seems faster than normal. I think it has less to do with skill than it does with planning. The colony has been damaged and wrecked so many times I've lost count. I could give you an exact number, though it would depend if you include meteorological calamity with alien invasion. This doesn't include sabotage or accidental mishap either. That explains the preformed molds in the hangar. It was either that or go with children's plastic bricks. It isn't all bad. The new materials you've synthesized are nothing short of brilliant, Mario. Will certainly give a boost to future colonization efforts. I had a little choice. If we didn't, I'd still be sleeping out in the sand. You know, that gives me an idea. With Mario's help, we could create a giant arena and use it for entertainment. And what events would you hold there? A little of everything. We have something from a few other planets have. Giant monsters. Imagine a battle between titans. That sounds like fun. If you include giant robots, I'm all in. How horrid. You'd actually engage in blood sports to make a profit, Christoph. I gather you wouldn't be a fan of rugby, Griselia. Mira, if you're so smart, why haven't you cooked up a little something to take out the aliens? Are you suggesting a weapon of mass destruction? There are some lines I won't cross, Caden. Lines? You made giant monsters and now you're talking about ethics? I never said we should put limits on our research. However, there are other considerations one has to take into account. Such as, we almost lost Griselia and Samuel to the Paladrain's crystal plague. How is that any different than what Caden just asked? It isn't. However, if you engage in such tactics, you better be sure it succeeds, because you'll only have one chance. I've had Lucius keep a close watch on all known alien channels, and most were pissed with the Paladrain's little stunt. Indeed, the Draydens put economic sanctions on the Paladrains, and the Madrons followed suit. Even the Apex Ran refused to consort with cowards. Not to mention, things would escalate quickly. If we're known for poisoning an entire planet, what would stop an alien from doing something similar? It isn't an eye for an eye. Sometimes it's an eye for a fingernail. There will be little we could do to stop saturation bombing from orbit, or if your foe's feeling really perturbed, they could start flinging rocks from space. Hard to colonize a planet if its ecosystem's been shot to hell. And I don't think High Command is taking that into consideration. Even with the current war going on, they try to keep things as civilized as they can, as have the aliens. I hope you are correct, Captain. You seem preoccupied, Caden. Is something the matter? Skipped back up a line there. Must have nudged the mouse wheel or something like that. Captain, how secure is the medical wing? It's as secure as the rest of the base, which isn't exactly a ringing endorsement lately. I didn't see you lending a hand. If you're leading somewhere with this question, then say so, Caden. Otherwise, leave the dramatic pauses for acting class. What Caden is having a hard time articulating is that some of his people are traitors. I've been saying that all along. Mario, don't interrupt Lola. Thank you, Charlotte. After all the security breaches, I grew suspicious and did my own investigating. While I didn't figure out who was behind it, I did find that he, or possibly she, occasionally employed people in Caden's group. It makes sense. I would do the same thing. There is less scrutiny for one thing. They've been making contact with all the other alien races. If it was foodstuffs or some such, I would overlook it, but they didn't, so we approached Galenia for her expertise. One doesn't have to be an empath to see this is eating you up. We discovered they're making trades with the Madrons. In exchange for illicit gene attack, they're giving away human samples, blood and tissue, not just from anyone. These samples came from you, Griselia, and you, Samuel. What? How would they get a sample from me? Same way they got mine, when we were hospitalized with the crystal plague. After they were captured, I was able to do some digging in their records. I'll give it to Mitsuki since she can probably find more than I did, but within the past year, the Madrons got sampled from her entire command staff. What? Even me? What about Alexander? Didn't find any reference to you, but the records were incomplete, and Alex wasn't mentioned. Neither was I or Caden. As we're relatively new to your circle, they didn't have access to our vitals yet. Just what in the fuck would they need with my blood? Need I remind you, the Madrons are considered among the preeminent geneticists. So they're going to make a plague to wipe us out. Don't be silly. If they wanted to do that, they could have done it on our planetfall. But they wouldn't need to hurt our citizens, would they? Focus on the commanders. It doesn't have to be like that. What if the Madrons are going to make a new caste? They're talking about some kind of human-Madron hybrid. Perhaps. After all, their spider caste, the Skelligs, didn't appear until after they made contact with the Apex Ran. As much as I would like to see a Charlotte Madron caste, what can we do to stop it? Unless we conquer them, there's little we can do to the Madrons. As for the humans involved, that's Caden's jurisdiction, isn't it? That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Elenia still has them under surveillance. We know what their next meeting's going to be. Well, I wanted to ask you to intervene. I don't know whether to laugh or not. You wanted her freedom, well, this is the consequence of it. My hold is much more tenuous than I first realised. If I came down on them, well, it could split my people apart. If you were to do it, well, that's expected. And earning the blame of it as well. If we granted this request, what would I have to do? Well, that would be up to you. At this point, their fate would be in your hands so long as you kept it quiet. No? The rebels wanted they freed them? Well, there are responsibilities and consequences to it. Let Caden and his people punish them? Normally I would agree, but if things are as bad as Caden says, this could split his people up, drive them into the arms of our foes. We have several empty cells waiting. We can keep them locked up for as long as it takes. That would work in the short term. Of course, some of their friends may try to get them out. Let them try. It's been a while since I put down a good old-fashioned jailbreak. Or we could draft them. Are you sure you want them sharing the same uniform as you? I think Mario suggested we ventilate their corpses, fill them with lead, and leave the bodies in the desert. I have a suggestion. There are some new breakthroughs in mental virtual adjustment therapy. If you wish to keep them as productive units, we can adjust their minds until they are efficient, loyal individuals. Wow, that is the grim option. You're talking about brainwashing. Please, nothing so crude. When we're done, there'll be little difference between their old selves and their new, law-abiding impulses. I don't know about this, Diana, but whatever you decide, I'll support. Ultimately, I think their fate has to be left up to Caden, because, yeah, he wanted his independence. He's got to deal with it. Then let it be on my head. So, who we got on Team Talk? Still just Charlotte, so... that probably means we've got to be getting close to this bloody romance scene. Come on. Either way. I probably ought to make a version of this deck that's just for 10 cards only or something like that, shouldn't I? Volunteers. Take that out, put that in. Okay. Ooh, I can deploy an Agent Zero immediately. I think I'm going to start with the Grenadier, because he has that grenade. Deploy Agent Zero, deploy the Robo-Ant. Ah, it's got charge, right, that's how come it's attacking on its first turn. That's fair enough. Okay, then Robo-Ant, target. And destroy. Agent Zero, target the leader. Matric Weaver, summon all allied Matric units. Gain +1 attack and +1 hit points. Okay. As long as we get some spiked iron vines up, will last plenty long enough to do that. It's basically how easy some of these fights have got. Which, again, I'm playing on easy difficulty, so that's fine. And as I say, because I've done every goddamn side mission, grenadier in here, and let's take out him. Alright, bring Agent Zero in. Sharpshooter, take him out, please. Grenadier, kill him, please. Give the wall a chance to repair a little. Agent Zero, kill him. Everybody else, pile on the Matric. Okay. Sharpshooter, target for destruction. And job done. Right, let's see if this is actually the bloody romance scene. It appears one of the plants in the greenhouse has somehow developed mobility, and it scarred a couple of junior officers when it followed you into the lavatory. You've been looking all over for Charlotte to get her advice on the situation, but no one's seen her. Going on a hunch, you head towards the colony's Grand Park and find her sitting on a bench. There you are. I've been looking for you. Is everything alright? Hey Diana, I'm fine, just been doing some thinking. I admit I probably should have done some before this. She pats your hand as you lay it on her shoulder, and her fingers linger for a moment more than they should. You're having second thoughts? About us? I told you before, I'm here for the long term. That includes Alicia. But she does have a way of keeping me on my toes. So I've seen. Playing jump rope with Rumi's tentacles is a new one. No, you've long since allayed any fears I have in that regard. Second thoughts? Well, no, I couldn't help but notice there were some changes to the duty roster, especially mine. Did you make those? No, Alex made the roster this week. Why? Something wrong? Well, I noticed that my normal patrols no longer took me to our borders where things were a bit tense. I thought that you might have had something to do with it. You immediately thought I altered the schedule to keep you safe. Well, I didn't think you did it, but it seemed a bit too coincidental. I mean, well, our relationship is already drawing some looks. Tell me about it. Well, our relationship is technically allowed. Now, one thing I guess we can thank royalty and nobility for. They certainly wouldn't let their liaisons get stopped by some military protocol. If it would help, I can look into it, but it's possible Alex thought he was doing us a favour, but I think he was just randomising the patrols. So people don't get complacent, I get that. Of course, if people thought I wasn't willing to take the same risks as them. You can't trust your officers, your soldiers. Look, can you promise me one thing? No matter how tempting it is, try not to let our relationship get in the way of our duty. I promise. Do you think so little of me, Charlotte? Charlotte shakes her head, bringing her hand to your lips, giving it a gentle kiss. No, Diana. But sometimes love has a way of blinding people. I already did that once in civilian life. I don't want to repeat it again. Well, then I must make sure the situation never gets to the point where I would have to make that decision. I can agree to that. Better to forestall war than get embroiled in it like now. On a related note, I told my parents about us. I hope you don't mind. Most people are reluctant to mention their girlfriends to their parents. Well, until we left the interdiction, we won't be visiting them anytime soon. Shame, really? How else are we going to make love without being caught by your parental units? Well, you might embarrass my dad, but you wouldn't shock my mother. I only think she's more than likely to give out pointers. So they won't have a problem with Alicia? I mean, some families don't take kindly to stepkids. Paint me green, put a wart on my nose, and I could be the wicked stepmother. I wouldn't mention it to Alicia. You know she's going to be bugging you to do that for Halloween. If it'd make her happy, I see no problem with it. Love, I appreciate the effort you make to bond with her, but don't let her walk all over you. Don't worry, Remy already has her beat. I think he has the whole colony wrapped around his tentacles. But to get back to your question, no, they won't have a problem with her. Dad already asked if she'd like to go camping, and Mom says she misses shopping for her kids. Okay, I take back my comment about you spoiling Alicia. I've got to be on the lookout for your parents. What about your parents? I hope they don't mind me. I don't think there'll be a problem, but... Well, I was hoping to play out this entire scene in one video, but I'm going to have to cut it across to the next one. Sorry about that, but, you know, YouTube are still annoyed with me. Seriously, 6 months. It's ridiculous. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.